Welcome to my workshop. In today's video I'm going to present you this rather fine quality, fantastic looking, packed with features T-ruler that you can buy on Banggood. However, it's actually not that cheap. This T-ruler has been made by a company called Banggood, and there is something a little bit special about that company. You know what? It actually listens to the potential customers. If you are aware, on YouTube there's a famous woodworking YouTuber, Dennis from Hooked on Wood, and they actually send him a first original version of this to test out and check out. And tell you what, he wasn't very happy with the design. There was a lot of issues with it, and he went back to them and told them what could be improved. And thanks to that, a company that actually listens, we've got a remarkable piece of equipment here, guys. The quality is fantastic, and I'm going to show you all the features it has in just a moment. And yes, it's not cheap, but I think it's worth the money. At the minute, you can pick this up for just under $130 on Banggood. Well, from starters, as you can see, it's absolutely gorgeous. The total length is 65 centimeters. Now, as you can see, the middle section of the T-ruler is actually empty, and that's to allow these additions. Okay, so what have we got here? These two pieces with the brass screws that will allow you to insert your lead from your pencil just in there and make a, for example, horizontal line. And as you can see, just over here, they do have small notches to indicate the exact position. And the numbers on the ruler itself are nice, clear, white on red. And they're super visible, no issues in reading the numbers at all. So if you undo the brass screw, you can quite easily move this to the location, let's say 20 centimeters, like so, and lock it in place. And now with a pencil, you can put that through the hole and make a line. On the ruler itself, you also get a pair of drill guides, and that's exactly what they are. You do get removable collets. This one is 6mm drill bit. However, you also get a set of 3 more sizes, 5, 4 and 3mm. Now, apart from the indicator that will show you exactly where you are when it comes to the distance on the T-ruler, you also do have indicators inside, just over here. So if you're marking a line horizontal and vertical, you can pinpoint the location with your ruler indicator, and then that point over here as well. So you can be very, very accurate when setting up your holes for drilling. And it's just super simple to remove these collets. You just unscrew them and put a new one in. What you also get on both of the edges, left and right, you do get some holes. That's to allow your pencil lead to go in there, and they represent every single millimeter on the scale. They are well marked, and it's super easy to read it. And as I said, put your pencil in the right position. Right on the edge, hopefully going to be able to see that, you do have the white marks as well, just on the very edge here, so you can pinpoint the location of your T-square super easily. Now, the markings on both sides are the same, and this is metric. So I've got metric on one side and metric on the other, which is super helpful, as sometimes with these T-squares you get metric on one side and imperial on the other. However, I always think it's best to have one system on your measuring equipment. For example, on a T-ruler, you're going to get to the edge of the board and mark it up. And then in most of the cases, you want to slide over to the other side of the board and mark that as well. However, if you then got metric on one side and imperial on the other, it's actually quite hard to mark up your work. So having the same setup on both sides is definitely on a plus side. When you flip this over, you do get the scale on this side as well. Absolutely brilliant solution, so you are covered in every single scenario. One thing you can actually do here is to remove these guides entirely. Okay, every single one of them is removable or you can actually purchase additional ones if you've got the need for it. The next feature this T-ruler has is a pivot point, right? So again, you can unlock it and shift it to any position you want. However, when you lock it in place, right at the end, just over here, you do have this brass screw that's actually a point. Okay, hopefully you're going to be able to see it, as it is very delicate point, but that's actually a benefit, as it will leave a tiny mark on your workpiece, and we'll have a look at how all that works in a minute. On top of it, you can actually remove the base. So what do you need to do? Pull this lever up just like so, and now you can pull out the ruler. And the base itself, well, it's chunky enough to stand on its own. On top of it, the edges are at 45, so you can use it, for example, on your table saw when you switch in the position of your blade to 45 degrees. How accurate is it? Absolutely perfect, actually. Now, one of the issues that we need to cover here is how accurate is it, okay? Because that is the most important thing when it comes to tools like these. And with this type of assembly, well, there is a margin of error that could potentially happen. In the previous version of this, you had the ability to actually slightly amend the squareness of the T, as you had some screws on each end to push the ruler left or right to make sure it is square. However, in this case, we don't have that ability. So what I would suggest, if you are going to take this apart and put it back together, always check it for squareness. Let's have a look if there is any wiggle room. So this is not locked in. I can feel that there is a tiny amount of wiggle left to right. Probably, I don't know, 0.5 millimeter, but you can definitely feel it. Not having the ability to actually amend the position of the ruler against the base, I think that's a downgrade in my opinion. Yes, for this amount of money, it should be square. However, with setups like these, there's always a bit of room for error. When this is locked in, well, it's not moving at all. There's no movement whatsoever. So as I have taken it apart and put it back together, let's have a look if it is square or not. Now, to check if this T-square is actually square, I'm going to be using my square from Vaco, which I absolutely forgot I had in my workshop. Now, this is not as long as the T-square. It goes right up to 540, but I think that will give us good results. Now let's flip it over to make sure we do have a straight and accurate line. So that's the line we've got. And let's compare the T-square to that. So I'm going to draw a line next to it from one edge on the other side. And I'm going to draw a line directly on the line that we did with the square. Well, my eyesight is not perfect, but from my perspective, it is quite accurate. I can't see any major issues here at all. Now, the pencil I'm using for these tests so far are 0.9 millimeters. However, I'm going to switch over to 0.7 millimeters now to show you the horizontal lines that you can mark up with the holes that are on the edges of the ruler. So, for example, if I want to have a line at 10 centimeters, no issues at all. Maybe at 14. Now, there is no problems in wiggling that lead in there. As I said, this is 0.7. and there isn't massive amount of movement. However, there is a tiny fraction of movement. So if I were to use a 0.9 millimeter, then you would definitely have even less movement in there. So with 1 millimeter holes, the lead that probably you should be using is 0.9 millimeters, as that will give you the best and most accurate results. However, we also got these guides just over here. Let's say I want to set them up at 8 centimeters. Now these will be as accurate you can get that point with the mark on your ruler. So, you know, it all depends on your eyesight and how good you are in setting these up. Again, no issues at all. It actually doesn't break the lead as you do the lines, so that's quite good. On top of it, because the T-square is actually quite heavy, it's not going to shift on you so easily as you're making your marks. So it is actually going to stay in place, which is a good thing. Okay, let's set up some lines over here, and we're going to use the drill guys to hopefully drill some accurate holes. And if you need to, you can quite easily shift these about . Just like that, few seconds, and you're golden. Okay, now we can align it with our marks. We do have the points just over here for easy alignment, and then we're going to use the scale on this side. Okay, so the line here, that's at 9.6 millimeters, 9.6. I'm going to lock that in place, and the other line is at 13.3. Now remember, these holes will be as accurate as the actual user. I've set up everything correctly, everything's perfect. However, if you don't clamp down the T-ruler, or you tilt your drill slightly left to right or whichever direction, you're not going to have straight holes even with the guide bushings, okay? As there's always tiny amount of movement as you are drilling it. And, you know, it's just the nature of this type of contraption. So let's have a look. I'll try to do my best. And tell you what, for not clamping the T-ruler and my shaky hands, I think these came out quite bob on. Now a T-square like this with the drill guides can actually be very, very helpful for anybody that's making cabinets. It will help you to locate the correct position of the holes for the hardware, for example for the handles on your drawers or on the doors of your cabinets. So from that perspective, this can be very, very useful. However, there's one thing that you need to watch out for with this type of designs when it comes to the T-rulers. Let me show you. If you're not using these guides, okay, you take them off entirely or have them at the ends, then what you're gonna have is a bit of a flex right in the middle, okay? The hole is large and the T-ruler is quite long. So if you are pushing your pencil against it, you may have a tiny amount of flex. That's why, if you're gonna be using this, make sure you do have them installed along the way of the ruler. Then there's no flex at all. Just a word of warning. Now, to be able to use the last feature I want to show you, i.e. the circle maker or the curve maker, you need to remove the end of our T-square. And over here, hopefully you can see that we got some clear plastic. So if you marked up your piece of work and you need that pin to be in the right position, that will help you to establish the position. And with this brass screw here, just gonna do it up to allow that pin to come out. And that's the maximum it will go. Okay, hopefully you can see that on the camera. It's absolutely tiny, but as I say, it does have its own benefit, as it will not leave a massive hole, a massive mark. All right, let's say that's the spot when I want to have my pivot point, and because we do have a clear acrylic plate here, it's far easier to establish that position. Now, to be absolutely honest with you, you need to take your time in doing so, as yes, you do have this clear plate, however, it still could be a little bit problematic in setting that up. Press it against your workpiece just like so, and now quite easily we can draw a circle, a curve, and for example, if you want to have two circles, one smaller, one larger, or just curves at different sizes, you can just move that guide to your next position and make the line. It's absolutely a fantastic feature, an accurate feature that will allow you to draw large curves or large circles. As you've seen, this combination T-square is definitely packed with some really fantastic features, and it will find its place in a professional workshop where you make cabinets and furniture, and also in a DIYer's den. There is one thing that concerns me, that locking mechanism here at the end where it comes behind the ruler and the T as well. I think over time that potentially can get loose, as it's not self-centering mechanism, so that could lead potentially in some inaccuracies in the future, especially if you're going to be taking it on and off constantly. Now, every single time as you put the T back on, I would definitely check it for squareness. So in that case, you need something that's, well, long enough and reliable as well to make sure you will lock it in a straight position. And only time will tell if that locking mechanism will give way and if the T-square will stop being square. Now, in my personal opinion, is it worth $130? I think it absolutely is. You are getting a high quality tool for your workshop, and sometimes it's worth to invest a little bit more to get something really decent that A, will be accurate, and you will be enjoying having it in your workshop. So if you're interested in this, I'm going to drop some links down below in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. If $130 seems a little bit too much for your wallet, then remember, we are heading into Christmas peak period. There will be plenty of offers on Banggood, and I bet you anything this will be on sale as well. So save that link that's down below in the description of this video and check it every so often, and maybe you're gonna land yourself a fantastic deal on this really good tool. Also, I just want to thank you, my patrons, for supporting my channel, and don't go just yet. Check out these two fantastic playlists, plenty of cool videos to watch. Have a look, maybe you'll find your next video there. Take care.